Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your intrepid host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, my Native American shaman name. So I greet you with honor, blessings, peace be upon you and your family, your relatives, all of your friends. And my only request is that you spend, that you spread this love and joy and compassion to other people. Okay. I thank you very much for tuning in. And this is another in a series of transition basics and another unscheduled, here we go, seat of the pants. Here's the topic for discussion today kind of thing. I've been getting a lot of angel messages, if you will, here these last few days to speak on a few things. And I wish to make absolutely positively right off the bat, if I say something that seems offensive to you, please understand constructive criticism is difficult for anyone. Now, as an accomplished actor and director in theater for, like 30 years kind of thing, ha- having to accept criticism as an actor, you need to stand down here more, you turned up stage too far, whatever it is, you have to be able to accept it. Not that someone is criticizing you, they are critiquing you. Is your performance correct? Is what you wish to portray? Is it being, that's the job of the director and the assistant director. But to the point though, it's like, okay, so in this lifetime, we have to be able to accept a critique. So when I speak on some of these things, I'm asking you to look inside your own self. I'm the last person to judge anyone because I understand that judgment isn't, I'm my worst enemy, and you will be your own worst enemy as far as judgment is concerned. Now, judgment of the Lord and of the Savior and God and all that kind of stuff, that judgment simply comes into frequency. You're going to judge yourself before you get to heaven. And what do I mean by this? We all live with some kind of guilt. There's something that, I don't care, the bestest person has had something in their lifetime that they regret. And with that regret will come guilt. So the more that we carry on with ourselves, the lower our vibrations are. Forgiveness comes when you ask for it. Forgiveness comes when you mean it. Forgiveness comes when you absolutely 500% I'm sorry that I did this, I wish forgiveness, and that you do whatever that you can to rectify it, don't ever do it again, and maybe help others in a similar situation. So that's how you raise your vibration. Now, these last few videos that I've done, I realize that there are some things in there that I've discussed and that I realize about myself. So, yeah, I talk about myself because I can't point fingers at anybody else. All right. And it's not my job to point fingers at somebody else. So I have to point the finger at myself and use myself as not as a narcissistic asshole, but as someone who's been through some of this stuff. And I can't judge anyone else. Okay. So with that said, here we go. Guilt. Now, I just did a Facebook thing and it wasn't about guilt, but it kind of went around it. And I did just speak on guilt. But then I realized here just in the last few hours in my mulling over it, I got to thinking, there are a lot of things that each one of us are guilty of something. Something we said, to maybe it was a stranger and they pissed us off or whatever it is. There's something I'm sure every single one of us has regretted. I didn't need to speak that way to that person or whatever. So there is a twinge of guilt attached to it because if first you acknowledge, man, I shouldn't have done that, that guilt is right there because you're second guessing what you just came out of your mouth. And I've apologized to folks for my bad behavior over the years because I've had 25 plus traumatic brain injuries, TBIs. It's rearranged my thinking. I've talked about my drug addictions. I've talked about the medicines that the doctors gave me and what and how it changed my philosophy and my thought patterns and behavior, quite frankly. And the times that I've been hit on the head where there was, I mean, a serious blow to the head, and there was a personality change, and I couldn't explain it. And other people were affected by my personality change due to what happened to me on a physical nature to my head, to my brain. Okay. And in most of the instances, it wasn't like I was drunk and ran off the road and had an accident and created my situation. No, I've had other people run into me who were drunk and I was sober and had ended up with bad accidents. Be working under a scaffold and somebody drop a heavy object or something, knock your helmet off, knock you to the ground, and then you get hit by a second board. I mean, just the strangest damn things, but I've had a lot of head injuries. Now, I bring this up because these things will change our personalities. It rearranges our brain in ways, and it takes time for our brains to heal from these things. Now, in my discussions, I realized that over the last 6 years, especially, well, since about 2009, that would be more like 9 years, wouldn't it? Or anyway, but a while. But although I've been on this journey for 50 years, since I have been retired / disabled, I've had more time to focus on these things. And so, yes, I have more time for prayer, and yes, more time for meditation. Okay, with that said. But in all of that, I have done my internal work. I've had to critique myself. I've had to go inside myself and do the nitty gritty, oh my God, soul work that a lot of people it's difficult to do because you have to admit it. You have to be truthful. You must be brutally honest with at least yourself. Whether you share it with another person or whatever, that's not the point. But can you honestly look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did this thing, blah, 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 and I was wrong. You're guilty. But by admitting your guilt, you can then forgive yourself or ask for forgiveness. But if you won't admit that you were guilty, if you won't be honest with your own soul, then that's going to hold your vibration way down. So in this discussion of guilt, I was given a really quick download of stuff in that if you were to sit down and figure out what would be like the number one killer of like your energy or something like that. And it came to me just a bit ago very strongly, and it makes perfect sense, that guilt is the number one killer of the soul. And I asked the question, I'm still asking, you mean number one? Well, if you've killed someone, then you live in remorse the rest of your life. You've lived a life of guilt. If you've harmed someone and you really are truly trying to stay on the red path, and you're really truly looking for enlightenment, and you truly wish to improve your energy, then you got to admit to the guilt that has happened to you in your past. Now, it doesn't mean you have to relive it all. It doesn't mean you have to get all emotional and all. No. But if you're trying to go into this next realm, what will kill the soul quickest, and I've looked back over my own life over the last 5 years, like really intense, writ shit down, said, man, you were so wrong right there. And I had to go, you're absolutely right. Now, maybe it was simply a conversation, but it busted up a friendship or maybe a relationship or whatever it was. But I had to admit that in that there were things I could have done differently. Yeah, I was caught up in the moment, and when two people are arguing, there's all kinds of excuses. But when you get right down to the basics, I was guilty of not conducting myself in a different manner. Now, would the outcome have been different? Quite possibly. But because of my situations and this and headbangs and drugs and everything, I was not able myself to conduct myself in a way, as I reflect back, that was not my intent. I didn't intend to get mad at this person and cuss them out. No, but they tripped a trigger in me and then I let it all out. And then we ended up in a whatever division. Could I have handled that differently? Yeah. Well, the circumstances now, I have to take into consideration. Now, I'm not blaming my circumstances, but the circumstances of the drugs, and I'm talking drugs from the doctor now, my head concussions and all the things they did to me in that, it does affect what and how you do, say, and perform. But I can tell you from a soul standpoint, my intent has never been to harm another person. Now, there are 2 or 3 minor exceptions, but these were people that unfortunately needed to be dealt with in a, well, I didn't do it, but I threatened them and I would have carried it out. And these people were pedophiles. Okay. They were affecting my grandchildren. They were affecting the adopted children that I was taking care of. And because I have been pedophiled by priests and other folk in my younger days, it gets me onto a nerve that just like I lose humanity because I know what it's done to me and other people who have been affected by this. So when there's someone who's going to pedophile somebody really close to me, I mean, anybody, but I mean, when I see it and they're trying to get to one of my kids or somebody that, you'll die. And I meant it. And now these people are dead of other, thank God I didn't have anything to do with it, but I wished them dead for what they were doing and what they have done in the past. Now, I do feel guilty about that. Not near as guilty as some of the other things, though, because these people need to be dealt with in a very strong, hey, you're going to end up in the swamp somewhere. Nobody's ever going to find your body. And fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, I know how to do that. And I'm not that I've had to hide a body, but I know where there are places in the swamp that nobody will ever find you. That's what I know. So anyway, what I do, but would I willingly go out and like want to do harm to a person? No. The only reason I would have done harm is had they harmed another. So there would have had to been some kind of a thing there. But to the point, I still feel guilty about that because it's like, wait a minute, how am I playing God with this? But my instincts, all the things that happened to me came out so quickly, so fast. And I realized that had they actually tried it, if I hadn't killed them, I would have hurt them real bad. And then I would have turned them into the police. But, and I probably would have went to jail too, but that's okay. I've been there before. Now, let's move off of that. But let's stay on the guilt part. Now, there are things that I'm guilty of. And I have told people, I have called folks on the phone and said, look, I was wrong. Now, yes, I was on these medicines, not drugs, but okay, they're still drugs, but they're medicines by the doctors. And I've had these head injuries and these things, but that does not excuse my behavior. I am guilty of what I said because it came out of my mouth. I am guilty of the actions I performed, even though my awareness was out of whack. What I can say in retrospect is that it seemed like in those times I was possessed by something, someone, another part of something, wasn't me, because my core intent would have never been to say those vile things to another person, but yet they came out of me. Now, did they come from Dave? Did it come out of Hawkeye? From some deep, dark, very possibly. Could it have been another entity? There are times when I absolutely felt possessed, but my energy level was so low and there were so many other things in my life at that time, but I still did them. I still said them. So therefore I am guilty of it. What I am not guilty of is that my intent was to not harm. So for whatever that means. Now, I'm still sorry. It still came out of my mouth. But in a soul perspective, I have gone through and said, well, there were things that I said that was me. And I'm even more guilty of that, if you will. But then there were circumstances surrounding, me getting out of the hospital and people being all upset and me losing my temper and things were said. And it's like, but y'all need to take that into consideration. I just got out of the hospital from a head concussion and you all treated me badly. And then when I lost my temper trying to tell you people to shut up, and be cool, everybody got upset and things got out of hand. But my intent was never to harm anybody. Okay. The situation turned into a bloody mess, but I'm still guilty of what I said. I'm still guilty of the actions, whatever they were at the time. And what the creation of those things was a split up of a very dear friend of mine, some damn sure hard feelings with family members, and I lost a loved one. Someone I really thought was like a soulmate kind of person. And maybe we weren't and with the head concussion and everything that I had, maybe it was a figment of my imagination, but at the time, had things been handled differently, it could have changed differently. Things would have, but who knows? But I am guilty of what happened. So, and I got to be, and there were times of, well, yeah, but they pissed me off. Yeah, but you still said what you said. So I kept like trying to push it on the other people. Oh, and they were way guiltier than me, trust me, because they instigated it. But I'm guilty of allowing them to get to me. Okay, so I mean, and there's different levels of the guilt. But still, what I said hurt people. Now, I didn't hit anybody or anything like. I'm not a violent type person that way. You really got to do something to me before I'll smack you. All right, but holler at you if you hit the right buttons. I'll stand up and scream in your face. At least I used to. Now I'm much better. Thank you very much. But there are people who I would probably at the time, because of their behavior, stand right up to them and cuss them out. But in a minute, I will have regained my composure and say, now, see, I can calm down. Can you? I understand that you just pissed me off and I said some things right there. Did I get your attention? So I used hollering or screaming with a different point of view now to get people's attentions. But after about a minute, I'm like, I've had enough of whatever the anger is. I just can't, it just refuses to go any further. But I'm still guilty of losing my temper, if you will. So yeah, I keep it in check and things and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that I have to take account of those things that I did, whether intentional or not. They still came out of my mouth now, but at the same point, I say whether intentional or not. There, like I said, I grabbed one guy by the throat and said, I'll kill you if you make a pass at these kids again. Okay, that I meant that. In retrospect, I probably would have just beat the shit out of him, but still. In other things that we do, though, how many of us can honestly, and I'm not, I can't judge you, ain't going to go there. I'm just going to ask you, how critical can you get with your own self about things that you're probably guilty of? And it could be an argument, and the thing is like, whoa, yeah, he pissed me off. Okay. So, but you still lost your temper. Can you admit that? Or are you just going to pass it off to the other guy pissed you off? Whether you know it or not, those kind of things are little tiny twingy things that keep your energy and your spirit from achieving the frequency necessary to move into this next realm. That's what they're saying, not me. Okay. But I get it. I understand. Boy, wow. Woo, woo, woo. But I got it a couple of years ago. But what has come back up now is I'm realizing in my discussions of things of just stuff, then I realize it's not that I'm harboring guilt, but I realized that there were a lot of things that I was guilty of. But I also realized that I wish that I had not said them. As they were coming out my mouth, I was like, shut up, will you? And it still came out. And in those instances, I was guilty with the first three words and regretted it and have since. And so a lot of these things I just buried. Oh, okay, man, I wish I hadn't done that. But there's that twinge of guilt. So in doing the real soul work that is necessary to attain the frequency that is necessary to move into these new realms, new paradigms, the transition into fourth, we got to deal with this stuff. It's going to come up. And when the enlightenment hits some other folks and it brings our awareness up even more, folks are going to go, but I never thought of that. Well, I didn't realize that was like, oh, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of, oh, I didn't know kind of deals. Okay. But the biggest thing is are you tough enough to do that soul work? Are you tough enough to go in there? And it's like I say, it's not like you have to get emotionally attached to it. You just have to realize, oh, crap. Was my intent really to hurt that person? Or did the stuff that came out of my mouth was just pin up something? I regret it. I wish it hadn't happened. Please forgive me. I realize now I was just as wrong as the other person. Or are you continuing to say to the universe, well, he started it? Wrong answer. It is. I'm not to point the finger at you, but that's the wrong answer. Because in my own self recognition and in my own soul work, I've had to go that deep. Because it's like, well, I didn't realize that conversation with somebody. And then I go, oh, shit. I acted in a moment of anger, passion, whatever it is, and the rule of thumb is if somebody's going to piss you off, wait a minute, literally just before something comes out of your mouth, wait a minute and let it just let your thoughts, oh no, I got to open my big mouth and blurt out something that's useless, turd shit, crap, just, oh, and then I live the rest of my life regretting that I allowed it to happen. Now, that's me personally. But to the point, though, if you're going to do soul work, you got to be honest with yourself. I can't do it for you. Nobody else. God's not going to do it, okay? If you think God's up there with a pen and pencil, wrong. What is tallied is the energy that you emit. And if your energy is lower than the minimum height to go on the big rides, you know what I'm saying? When you're a little kid, I worked on a carnival. We had a little thing, if you're too short to get in here, well, what about a midget who's full grown? Well, there's circumstances, but anyway, but I'll hold him, and the child throws up on you when you start to ride. But anyway, but to the point though, we have to be that brutally honest with ourselves. It's not an attack on the self. Okay. You got to understand that you're not attacking yourself, but you do have to be honest and you don't have to say another word to another person. Nobody else has to know. It's you and Creator. Creator already knows, but does your soul know? Is this going to be a soul killer? Are there so many things? Well, they pissed me off of the day. Well, I was drunk. Well, yeah, but I didn't have to be drunk. So I'm guilty of at least that. Well, I've said some things after 4 beers, oh, well, you pissed me off. Well, guilty, 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 guilty. Well, they said something. It doesn't matter. The thing is that you just be aware that, oh, crap, I was a real turd cake. Oh, man. Yeah, this other person, and I can't tell you what it is. It's not my job. Okay. My job is to point out things I know in my life. I got things going in here that are like, man, I got drunk one time and it was so stupid and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all I can do is go, I was guilty of that. And I admit the guilt. And I ask for forgiveness from the universe. And once you admit your guilt, it's almost like the slate's clean. Because if I see it and went, oh crap, man, it was as much my fault as theirs. I am guilty of that. I'm sorry. Boom, it's done. It's as simple as that. And it won't get carried any further because you've dealt with it. You were truthful with your own soul. You were truthful with the deepest self Creator already knows about. You can't hide it. You don't have to leave this body to get judged. Trust me. You get judged here because if our frequency is so low, we can't get there. Got to come back and try again. I know in my previous life, I was a deadbeat SOB, and quite possibly a murderer, okay, in my previous life. And I am back to correct it. I understand it. I know it. I've asked forgiveness of the spirits. Yeah. Can you do that soul work? Because it will be the killer, not of your soul, but it'll be the killer of the soul being able to get to the next place. It will hold the vibrations down. Now, it depends on you. I know I continuously am doing soul work. Have I given up? Like, have I gone into all the little dark, deep crevices? No. I'm 66 years old. There's a crap load of crevices, just saying. But there are a lot of things that happen that was not done with intent. I never intended to harm someone. It ended up that way. It was an unintended consequence of a conversation, having too many beers, whatever the situation. So, having this conversation is difficult, actually, because I have to admit, and I'm doing it in public, to people that, hey, there was stupid shit I did. Now, I'm not saying you got to do a YouTube video to do this, but I'm trying to explain to you that once you get over the difficult part, now I'm not going to speak on things because it would involve other people. So I can't say that blah, blah, blah happened and this is the reason I'm guilty. Sorry. Can't go there because it involves other people. All right. So I could give you some specific instances that were just down deep, not right, not right, not right, not right, not right, not right. And I can't go back and undo it. How I treated someone, but they were treating me like shit too. That's not the point. I could have done better and should have. I was smarter than that. But with all the other external and circumstances, it ended up not very well. It ended up with hatred on the other person's part towards me forever. And no amount of asking for forgiveness is going to take that hatred away from this person or persons. Maybe 3. Because I can't get to them. Now, I've tried. I've sent prayers out. I've done everything I possibly could to at least apologize to them, whether they forgave me or not. But they even rejected my act of, can I say I'm sorry, please? No, don't want to hear it. Okay, I tried. Now, in that, there seems to be some cosmic healing because I really, 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 really did try. And I'm not dead yet. So if the opportunity arose, I would still apologize. So in my soul journey, in my red path to enlightenment, I realized that these things were a fault of mine in the past. Well, I'm damn sure not going to repeat them. At least I hope, fingers crossed, and do all the, soul work, that this would ever happen again, but I'm a human being and things change. Who knows? I know I'm going to do my best to try not to do anything to harm someone with any kind of intent, well, that's for sure. But what about an unintended consequence? Could I say something to someone that piss them off? And it's like, well, did they misunderstand what I was saying? Well, in previous posts, I've been talking about there are too many people and the spirits have been yelling at me. Tell these folks, you guys ain't moving down the road. You're stuck on the path to enlightenment. Keep moving. You're on the path, and yes, it's enlightenment, and yeah, you understand some things, but you're just standing still. You're not moving, and it's like a lot of people are looking into the past, the Enki, Enlil, all this stuff, and it's like not now. They're screaming at the top of their lungs, and they don't usually scream. Tell them not now. Tell them to focus in their present. Tell them to focus their energy on the future. Too much energy is being expended looking backwards. And it's like, and I had this wonderful, like, vision, if you will, a little picture of someone, here's the red road, the path to enlightenment, but you're walking backwards. So you're not looking where you're going. You're looking where you've been. Even though you seem to be moving towards enlightenment, you look at it over your shoulder every once in a while to see if it's still there, but your focus is back where you came from. How can you get where you want to go if you're always looking backwards? Okay, but see, that's going to piss some people off. I mean, it's just going to rub them the wrong way. It's not that the past isn't important. It's just, are you focusing too much of your attention on that? Is that meant to harm anybody? No, it's a critique. It's a loving criticism to say, maybe maybe you're just standing still. You're on the road, and it isn't the road of enlightenment, but are you moving? Are you progressing in whatever way, shape, or form? Or are you just twirling around in circles? And the pictures I've been getting is people are going around in circles on the road, and it is the road of enlightenment, but it's going around in circles. So it feels like they're moving, but they're not. So, but anyway, onward to the guilt thing. So I'm asking each one of you, just take this little tidbit of soul work. Can you, do you, have you don't have to tell me, done this deep ass soul work? Because it's going to matter. We got to clean out the closet before we can move. It just has to be done. And I can't tell you how to do it other than you gotta be brutal sometimes. You gotta just allow the thoughts to come and go, oh crap, I messed that one up. I'm really sorry about that. I realize I should have done better, could have done better. That's all you need to do. You don't even have to drag it through the mud. Now, if you have the opportunity and could call someone and say, I'm sorry that I was an asshole, and don't put any blame on them. You don't say, well, you started it. No, just call up and go, I could have done a better job. That's all. Because if you lost your temper, like I have, it was my fault. I could have done better. So when I call up and apologize to someone, I mean it. Now, were they still a dirtbag to me? Yeah, but that's not the point. I'm asking forgiveness for my losing my temper. I'm asking forgiveness because I know I could have done a better job, regardless of the butthole on the other end. It was my job to do better, and I failed at that time. Now I've learned and I do better and I understand. But the thing is that now if I've tried to fix as many things as possible in my life because I know I was a butthole. They pitched the wrong words and I just let them have it. And yes, I regret it. And I've tried to fix it. But at the same time, I was man enough or woman enough or spiritual enough to be able to go, you know what? You screwed up. It's okay. But once you admit it, then that helps to clean the slate. The next simple, man, I'm guilty of doing that for sure. And I'm sorry. That's all it takes. If your intent is pure, then that is the forgiveness of the universe. God doesn't check anything off, okay? You've cleared that energy from your soul. You've cleared the cobwebs, if you will, however you want to, visualize this. But that you've taken that, whatever negativity that is there, it's there, that you clear it out. And you have the presence of mind to go, I really could have done better. And it's not that you beat yourself up. Again, this is not a self-flagellation. I'm a horrible person. No, that's not it. But you do have to go in there and take a look and go, I could have done better. And for that, I'm sorry. Move on. Next issue, next thing. Oh, crap. I had an argument where I'm using arguments. I'm, just saying. It could have been anything. Now, here's the next other part of this guilt. It's the guilty pleasure syndrome. Well, I had an extra piece of pie. It was a guilty pleasure. And it was a pleasure, and you're going, oh, I feel guilty. But you already attached something negative to it. So, and every time you say it, ooh, a guilty pleasure. Ooh, a guilty, I'm guilty. But did you forgive yourself for it? So first you use the word guilty pleasure. I'm a guilty pleasure. Now you're telling the inside of you that you're guilty of something. But did you come back around? I know this sounds silly, but did you come back around and forgive yourself for that little guilty pleasure? You left the guilt in, but you didn't forgive it. So you're still guilty. And this stuff piles up. It's exponential. Well, sort of, but it does pile up. It don't go away. And it turns into muddy energy. It's brownish kind of goo over on the side, and it's just a collection of these things. Ooh, guilty this, guilty that. But you never went in with the intent of saying, I forgive myself. Dang it, I'm sorry about that. But yes, okay, move on. No, you left the guilt in there to fester on its own. Okay. Overeaters. Now, I was 250 pounds. I'm 172 now. So I was 75 pounds overweight. I know about this. All right. So the guilty pleasure syndrome. Well, I'll just have another little bite. When actually I was being a flipping pig. Okay. Bottom line, I was being a pig. What? 2 pieces of pie and enough? You got to go back for another little taste with some ice cream on the corner. Oh, shut up. I'm telling myself this. But I was there. I've been there. So the guilty pleasure thing, I speak from experience. Now, when I bring some of this stuff up, I'm usually something has happened in my life that I've had to deal with it. So that's why I can speak on it. I've been there, done that, moved on, continuously moving on. So with that said, when we talk about the guilty things we did, well, I felt guilty because I didn't call my grandmother. Shame on you. Then call her. But if you continue to say that, I used to do it, in a way, still do. But I realized that, oh my God, every time I say this, oh, damn, I feel guilty because I didn't call. I feel guilty because I didn't answer. I feel guilty because I didn't go back in and forgive myself for all those guilty things I already told myself. It's cumulative. It piles up. It don't just slip out the back jack. Take a new stand plan, a new plan stand. No, it gets into a heap and it smells after a while. So the best thing to do is just deal with it. Stop going to the I feel guilty because. And if you are feeling guilty, then do something about it, because that's the soul energy. If you're feeling guilty about, I didn't call my Meemaw, then do it. Because otherwise you're going to live with regret. And that's guilt. Regret is guilt. So, oh man, I regret my granny died and I didn't call her like I should have. Now all that shit's going to pile up in you too. So you got to go in and you got to clear this mess out energetically. You got to say, I see it. I realize it. Dang, I'm sorry for this crap. And I'm not going to carry it forward any further. I'm going to leave it there. I'm sorry. Here we are. And that's that. But you got to mean it. This ain't no half-assed, well, I'm sorry. No. That's the brutal truth. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. I can't say if you are or aren't. God's not going to judge you on that, okay? Because if your frequency is still of a lower value than what's acceptable to go to the next level, nobody's judging you but you. You're your own judge. We are gods in our own right. What's going to keep us out of the next realm? our vibrations, our frequencies. Good deeds pile up, but if you don't forget the old and this and that and the other thing, then you're still carrying stuff that you don't understand. It's like, well, I tried to do good, but you got all this guilt you never forgave yourself about. I mean, I know Dave talks about some of the strangest shit, right? But this strange shit is important because on a soul level, I know that after I took care of some of these things and other people, we've had very deep conversations. And it's like, you know what? When you go that deep and you understand what it means to your soul to go in and fix these things, at least acknowledge them, and so that you can move on. It cleans out the cobwebs. Wow, crap, there's a little dirt in the corner. That's basically all you're doing. It's not that you're supposed to relive this stuff. No. Now, there are some things that happened in my life that I relive it even though I try my best not to. But it's something that I just wish had never happened. Harm someone, push them away, and then they hate your guts for the rest of your natural born life kind of thing. Wrong. Now that was, 30 years ago, but that's not the point. I did it. All right. Okay. I never forgave myself. I never went back in and said, well, yeah, you were wrong, and even though the other people won't forgive me or allow me to speak to them on a cosmic level, I had to ask, look, I really, 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 really am sorry about this. I was guilty as hell, and I wished I had done better. Can I be forgiven? Should I be forgiven? Am I a good enough person or soul? Have I reached nirvana enough to be forgiven for this, quote, crime that I, in my heart, was, just as bad as killing somebody? If you kill love in another person, that's a death. And I've killed love in a couple of people, not on purpose, but it happened through circumstances. And do I wish that could have been changed? You bet your ass. I can't change it now. It's over, done with, but it happened. And killing love is it's murder. I mean, it is. You killed a thing that was living in two people, and it's gone. And it turned into hate. So that's my sin, all right? But I cannot speak for you. But you have to look really good, and you got to be brutally honest. Are the words that I said in anger or drunkenness or whatever so detrimental to another being, another person, that I caused harm? The answer to me is yes, I did. Drunken fool, high on other drugs, whatever. No excuse. It still came out of me. I still did the deed. Whatever it was, if it was just silly and embarrassing someone, still, to the point, I'm guilty of that behavior. Now, I'm just not a fighter. I'm not a bar fighter. I think I've thrown about maybe 10 punches in my entire lifetime. Can I defend myself? Oh, yeah. Don't cross me. Yeah, I'm a pacifist. Don't push me. Okay. You'll be surprised. But the thing is that simply because I won't start a fight don't mean I won't finish one. Just say it. Even in my peaceable state right now, any bodily harm to me or my friends or loved ones or animals or something like that, we're going to fight. Bottom line. Now, I don't want to harm you, but if you're going to do harm to somebody else, I'm going to do my best to stop you. Okay. So I'm not going to feel guilty about that one right now, but I will protect my property. Now, to other people, in doing your soul work, can you forgive yourself for those guilty pleasures? Hold that thought. I've been talking for the last 3 hours. Cold coffee. And I see folks in the chat room, but I ain't going to put my glasses on because you'll distract me for the moment. So I love you. Hang on a minute. But the guilty pleasure thing, anytime, and I've spoke about this, about positive words, When we speak things out loud, especially, and a lot of us do, oh shit, I feel guilty about that. And you just put another nail in a coffin somewhere in the back of your head. Now, the brain listens to everything. Your subconscious is paying attention when you ain't giving a crap. All right. That's what sometimes when I realized that I was like watching myself in a movie, and it was like, I shouldn't have said that. How I can't get the words to come out of my mouth. I believe it was like my subconscious being woke at the time I was being a butthole and going, hang on, guy, that you're going to regret that in about 10 seconds, which usually happens. So, but the thing is that there are so many times that we will plant these seeds in our subconscious, and we just go on and think, that doesn't do any, it was not doing me any harm. Yeah, it is. It's a secret harm because you said it and because you spoke it into the universe, and your subconscious heard that shit. Trust me, it's going to remember it. So you say, well, Dave, Hawkeye, what the hell is this stuff about? Because it's remembered. Your soul, your subconscious, it's connected. It's listening all the time. It's constantly going on. And so if you say something, if you speak it, it's been recorded. Think of it like a constant AI, if you will, but it's your own self. It's your own soul. It's who you are, but it is being recorded. There are things being recorded that you can't even see, but it's there and it's in your subconscious. Now, I've done a lot of study on subconscious and healing and this and that, all my brain trauma and so forth. So I'm here to tell you, when you do hypnosis, you're telling your subconscious to either remember or forget whatever it is that you're doing the hypnosis with. And hypnosis works. Self-hypnosis, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so if you understand hypnosis just a little bit and understand that a little bit of it could be true, then a whole lot of it could be true. And that everything is in our subconscious. It's in there. So now if you sit down and meditate and say, I wish for those things that are like hidden to come out. Like a little prayer. Okay, if you got to, oh Lord, I know I've done things in the past, and please allow me to see some of these things so that I may admit my guilt and forgive myself and never allow these things to happen again. Thank you. Amen. Whatever. Okay, you can turn it into a prayer. Or you could just simply ask that without asking any deity involved. Just say, I realize this energy is always here. And I'm asking Creator to send me the energy to uncover these hidden things so that I may deal with them. That sounds a lot better. Lift the veil on those things that I should have done better on. Doesn't mean you got to wallow in the dirt. Doesn't mean you got to go to confession. Doesn't mean anything. What you're doing is you're putting an end to the guilt in your own brain that you stuck there. Or other people, but to the point, if there's any kind of guilt in there, and trust me, you'll be surprised. There are simple little things every day. Man, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Guilt. If you say, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Guilt, guilty. I know it's like, but you're putting it in your brain. It's getting recorded. So if you don't forgive yourself of what I shouldn't have done, well, okay, I'll avoid that next time. Okay, brain, I shouldn't have done this. Sorry, I did a little bit of guilt here. I forgive myself for being a dummy. Help me remember not to do this again. You'd be surprised. When you implant that positive, help me not do this again, it already knows you did it. It's already been recorded. So now you're telling your subconscious, remind me to don't do this shit no more. But it's true. How does hypnosis work? It's the, quote, power of suggestion. Well, guess what? Your brain is recording all the time. So lots of shit, suggestions are going in all the time. That's why I harp about cell phones, and it's already tapped into people's brains. They wake up going, "Oh my God, I got to check myself." They go back crap, cray cray, because they haven't checked their phone in 10 minutes. They're wired in with this transhumanism thing, and it makes them guilty of things that they shouldn't be guilty of. But, oh man, I shouldn't have got up, or oh, whatever. I shouldn't have sent that text. So with all the chaos, with all of the distractions, with all of the extra choices we have to make, as I discussed in previous videos, is that, the more choices you have, the more chances you have of screwing up, or at least saying, God, I shouldn't have chose that one. I should have went with that. And there's another one, and your brain just recorded it. And you say, Hawkeye, this is just dumb as hell. Is it? The brain records everything. They put you underneath, sodium pentothal, and your little mouth goes to jabbing about stuff and it'll be true. And folks are like, what the hell? He said that while he was under, blah, blah, blah. What was he talking about? Oh my God. And he gave, exact directions to, it's in there. The trick is, do you accept that it could be? I don't know. But you must accept that it is. Don't take my word for it. Do your own little homework. But when you study the brain and you study hypnosis and all these other things, MK Ultra, they put shit in there you ain't aware of. So there are things in there that you have done on a daily basis, that I do on a daily basis. It's in our memories. It's there, whether you wish to believe it or not. So this soul work is acknowledge that the brain has recorded all this crap. Acknowledge that you must forgive it. Even if you I don't know, there was some crazy shit I did in 1972. I was, high on LSD and I don't know what I did. I might have gotten somebody pregnant for all I know. I'm sorry. I might have a love child out there. Oh my God. Can you do anything about it? No. Did it happen? Yeah. Do your brain might have been so messed up you don't remember anything specific, but there's a gnawing at you. Oh my God, something might have happened during that period of time. I'm guilty of being messed up out of my gourd, and I hope I didn't harm anybody. I know I didn't kill anybody, but I hope I didn't do anybody harm, or, please forgive me because I know I was messed up. That's sort of a blanket forgiveness kind of, but you're actually accepting the guilt because you were messed up and that you're not sure what could have happened, but whatever did, at least you're allowing the brain the chance to process it and go, I don't know what happened. God, I was high on LSD for 3 days. I didn't come down. I don't have a clue what I said I did. And I'm speaking from experience about that. But the truth is, yeah, for 3 days I was high on a 4-way hit of White Sunshine, and it's like, I don't know what I did. Not a clue. But people said you didn't hurt anybody. Some people said, man, you were babbling on about outer space and, meeting God and all these things. Did I hurt anybody? No. Was I okay? Yeah. Well, you peed yourself once, but, and that's because you couldn't get your zipper down. But, okay. I mean, so there were people around. Folks had checked on me because I was so high. But at that same period, there ain't a damn thing I can tell you that I remember. So what did I do those 3 days? Not a clue. I'm asking for forgiveness, and I have, because I was so messed up and don't know. So I can admit the guilt of being messed up. I can admit the guilt that I'm not sure what I said. Please forgive me. And whatever it was, now it's settled. I'm not worried about it anymore. I mean, I still reflect, I don't know what I did those 3 days, but okay. They said I didn't kill anybody. So, just saying. But shoot, I could have, I don't know. I could have got somebody pregnant. Who knows? I could have tried to walk on water. I don't know. So you look at yourself in that way. But everything is recorded in your brain. When I studied about my seizures, I realized that there was a pattern. That over certain years, over so many years, I noticed that there were particular parts of the day when I seemed to be more seizure prone. What? Yeah. And then when I went to go talk to the doctor about it, they gave me more pills, which made the issue worse. But to the point, I realized, wait a minute. My brain is replaying a seizure at certain points of every single flipping day. I had other people, we were observing it, and they were like, Dave, you were 10 minutes early today and 10 minutes late yesterday, and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You were within in the last 5 days of having these little seizure incidents. They all happened around the same time within 20 minutes. Now, isn't that flipping odd? You have to be that diligent to look at your own life and what's going on and go, wait a minute, is there a pattern here? Because it's very possible the brain set it up without your permission. It did with me. I don't have seizures the same time every day anymore because I told it to stop that shit. No, whatever you're doing in there, you cut it out. And I'm better for it. But the thing is that I didn't realize it until I started the observation, until I started looking and critiquing myself. Being a director, Dave, what the hell are you doing? Every day at 4:15, you're acting goofy. Are you drinking too much? Maybe you should take your meds earlier. What's going on? Oh, I had to be the hard ass. Just so. Nobody else would. Everybody else just said, take another pill. So nobody was working on the issue except me, myself, and I. And I realized it through the study of the brain, through hypnosis, studying of hypnosis, and self-hypnosis too. But the study of the mind, the study of spirit, etc. But I was specifically seeking information to the subconscious because that's where all this stuff is stored. Random access memory, whatever you want to call it, but it's in there. So when you do your work, understand there's stuff in there you really don't know that's there. So do a little picking around, allow yourself to think. Just go, don't. Now you may have a particular thing. Well, man, I was at a party in 82. Oh man, things got out of hand. And okay, so you might have a specific thing to go to. All right. Then you've already got an area you need to work on. Okay, fine. Nothing wrong with that. But there are folks that there's cluttery stuff in the pile that the subconscious doesn't let out, except maybe in dreams, the things. It's still there though, because it hasn't been cleared. You didn't go in there and say, okay, I see it. I understand. All right, that file. So they're like hidden files in the computer. And it's like you got to empty the cookies out of your thing, So very similar. They get collected. You don't see them unless you go into the cookie folder. Your computer slows down, starts getting sluggish, pages won't load. Oh, too many cookies, too many blah, blah, blahs. Okay. That's what it is. So glasses time, drink a thing, and read and read comments. Vibrations, buzz, high tinfoil. 1 cup, 2 people. What stopped me from growing was shame from being laughed at the age of 7. 1 cup, I agree. There, I had, I've got really big ears, and when they shaved my head damn near bald, the crew cut back in the day, and my ear stuck out, and everybody called me and said, "You look like Dumbo the elephant, and you look like a car going down the road with both doors open." I lived with that all my life, and I was like, okay, but to the point, the folks who were laughing at me had no idea what they were doing. That was just a joke. It wasn't funny to me. Bottom line. Had a dream at the age of 27, relived the moment in a dream and laughed with them, totally neutralized the whole situation. Absolutely. And whatever the situation is, then in the soul work that's being done, if people go back even into their previous lives, but I'm just asking folks, look at this one. Take care of this life. Quit looking backwards so much. Now, in doing your own soul work, does this require you to think of past events? Yeah. But I'm not asking you to go live in them, dwell on them, become emotionally involved. Just acknowledge that maybe you said something wrong or whatever it is, but deal with it. Okay. Rather than, well, I just let it rough off. Who cares? Ain't going to matter. No. Mm-mm. It has to do with frequency. It's not about right or wrong. It's about the frequency. What frequency have you set up in yourself by these negative comments over and over? They decrease the energy. It's just that simple. It slows your little computer down. But those things, which would you rather do? Do a little homework now and get rid of those things, or wait until you're ready to go into first grade with this, transference, and come to find out, oh crap, you didn't tell me about all this stuff. You mean I can't go? Sorry, but you should have done more soul work. You didn't do your homework. Oh crap. What would you rather do? I mean, I can hear a first grade teacher going, and so sorry, you can't come out of kindergarten. You didn't do your homework. You didn't color in all the color, whatever it is. But to the point, though, it is that. It's not, God's not judging us. We were judging ourselves. So, and we just got to go in there and fix it. Some of it's tougher for some folks. I mean, some subjects in my own brain, I will talk around them, but because of people involved in the situation, all I can tell you is I killed love. And that's bad enough. I killed love. And that's just almost as bad as killing a human being, because they're still alive. So killing love in a person. Now, I realized that part of that was that in my earlier dreams, these people did not fit into the life I'm in at this moment. At this moment, I am supposed to be a hermit by myself. As much as I hate this shit, I got to be here now in this. Because without being quiet and learning what a hermit means and listening to the universe, I would not have gotten this soul work done. So if I had dragged somebody with me, claiming there was my soulmate, I would not have gotten this work done that needed to be done for me. Now, in the process, that meant I had to push away people, and I didn't even know that I was doing it. I looked back and saw, oh crap, that's why I did that. Shit, I'm sorry. I realized I was guilty of that. Whatever the reason, whatever the cause, I could have handled it differently. I could have just said, I've had these weird dreams and I don't know how else to say it, but we need to somehow part way. It didn't happen that way. But in the end, I killed love. And was not my intent, but that's what happened. So, but anyway, so to me, that's like a giant sin on my soul. And of all the things I want to do to try to correct it, it's already done. It's already done. Can't go back and fix it, but I can make damn sure I don't ever do it again. And in the last 30 years, 25 years, haven't even come close to doing it. So that's a good thing. But still, did it happen? Yes. Is that stain on my soul still there? It's tainted because I haven't been able to deal with it properly, but I have asked all the forgiveness. So I'm still working on it. Ain't dead yet. But with that said, though, I still have to be that brutal director and go, did you try hard enough? Well, yeah, I did. I got contact. They shit on me. They banned me. Yeah, I tried. So it's like, all right. So I'm settled with that. Now, if an opportunity comes up in the future, I will take it. If I can apologize, or I know I can't make it better, that's out of the question. But can I admit my guilt and yes, absolutely. Face to face, if it ever comes about, I'm going to do it. So that's the best I can do. All right. So I love you all. I hope that this, I thank you all for hanging out with me. And, my intent is to try to stimulate a thought. Maybe it doesn't help you, but maybe there's someone that you could be kind to that's going through these issues. Maybe you can sit down and have this conversation And maybe in some weird way, you can say, oh, Uncle Dave over there, Hawkeye, he came up with this shit. Maybe you should just listen to him for, yeah, it's only an hour long, but, I never ask for you to share, like, or whatever. And I appreciate everything that you say and do, even if it's, a disagreement with me, fine. But that's how we all learn. Okay. And with humbleness, I always pray, Lord, please make sure that what comes out of my mouth makes sense to other people. My little Mother Mary things, like, I didn't plan this conversation, but everything was implanted in me today, last night, and now, so that I could speak with you. So the angel messages has been sent for today about this. So do that soul work, because guilt is a killer. It's just really big on the priority of things to make sure you correct before you try to move on. And it's not like, oh my God, you got to feel guilty. No, it's wiping the guilt out. That's the key. It's getting rid of it. You don't go back into the guilt to feel more guilty. No, defeats the purpose. You know what I'm saying? So, look, it's a trap. If you look at your life, I was on my Facebook thing. Somebody was laughing. I was like, I've always been accused of thinking too much. You overthink things. I was like, well, yeah. How are you going to get to the nitty gritty of stuff if you don't really, 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 really look? That's what made me a good machinist and an engineer. I looked at the small things. Anyway, cause and effect. So it's like, so I got to laugh at, like, yeah, sometimes it's like, yeah, it's a little OCD. Okay. I admit it. But at the same time, in being OCD with some of this stuff, I have had these other side revelations, like, oh my God, I didn't realize, I was asking for forgiveness, but I didn't forgive myself. Oh crap. And that it was building up. Oh crap. I mean, had I not dug deeper into self, the subject wouldn't even have come up. Well, I've said many times I'm guilty of this, but did I actually tell my brain out loud that I forgive myself for that stupid remark? I'm sorry for that remark. And okay. So I hope that makes sense. It really is important. I mean, they're like flooding this side over here big time with, it's really important. It's really important because it's things that people don't, that it's hidden in their souls, but it's still there. However, and if you don't go looking and like I said, it's not about feeling guilty about being guilty. It's about forgiving the self and moving it on, clearing out the cobwebs. So thanks, Dave. Always appreciate your wisdom, brother. I always appreciate you all hanging out with me. I didn't realize I had carried that shame for 20 years until I had the dream. You see, there are times when there are things that, like I was drunk, high on LSD or whatever, mushroom, I've had my share of those kind of things. But the thing is I don't remember what happened. I don't know if I did hurt somebody. Now, I'm not a violent person, so I seriously doubt I did. But did I hurt somebody with words? That's the sword of choice, I guess, for me, is not physical violence. It's with the tongue, sharp tongue devil, blah, blah, blah. But to the point, though, I think back and I was, God almighty, I hope I didn't do anything to piss somebody off, because it wasn't my intent. So if it wasn't your intent, it's easy to forgive. Because if you intended on hurting somebody, that's a whole nother guilt trip. But it's the things that we are guilty of that we really didn't mean. So forgive yourselves, all right? But be positive with it. And if you can correct it, please do. So love you all. I do. Have a great Saturday evening, what's left of it. Have a great tomorrow. And till the angels come and give me another message, I am your humble servant, Mr. David Null. I leave you with the humble prayers of be at peace, be love, be compassion, spread the joy, spread the smiles. And as always, accept and receive the healing from the cosmos. Accept and receive the healing and the wisdom from Creator. So blessings to all of you. Adios.